Okay, I am going to do a work through of the algebra quiz 1.3 through 1.6. Starting with number 1, we have -9 plus 6. So we're just adding integers. Again, a tool that can be used is the scoreboard, which helps you organize your thoughts. Okay, the basic idea with the scoreboard is used when we're adding or subtracting integers or positive and negative numbers. So what we do is we take the number and the sign in front of it, meaning the sign that's in the front of the number. So 9 is a negative number, so 9 will go on the negative side of the scoreboard. 6 has a plus sign in front of it, so 6 is a positive number. It goes on the plus side of the scoreboard. Now, if the numbers are on different sides, we subtract the numbers from each other like normal. Put the big number on top, minus the smaller number, and do our subtraction. The sign of the answer will be the sign of the side that has the bigger numbers. So in this case, 9 is bigger, so that means our answer should be a negative. So we get a -3. Okay, so now we have our second number, or second problem, -4.8 minus a -4.9 plus 5.7. So once again, we are going to identify or we're going to use our scoreboard technique because we're adding and subtracting. So that means I need a plus side or a positive side and a negative side. So let's go ahead and identify our numbers accordingly. So -4 or 4.8 has a negative sign in front of it. 5.7 has a positive sign in front of it. So I know 4.8 goes over here on the negative side. 5.7 goes over here on the positive side. Now this right here is where some students get mixed up. They only want to circle the first sign. Well, this one has double signs. So I'm going to circle both the two negatives. Now, if you recall, the definition of subtraction is adding the opposite. So if I have two negatives right here, subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding the opposite, which is adding a positive. Therefore, this 4.9 is on the positive side. Okay, so let's go ahead and simplify. So again, when numbers are on the same side of the scoreboard, we add those numbers together. So I'm going to say this is added together, giving us 10.6. Now, with the different numbers or numbers on different sides, so I have a 10.6 and a 4.8, I'm going to subtract those just like normal. The bigger value on top minus the smaller number on bottom, and I'll do that subtraction. So borrow from the 10, that becomes a 9, so that the 6 becomes a 16. This is 8, 5, and bring down the decimal point. We see that the bigger number is in the positives, so our answer will be positive 5.8. Alright, so number 3, we're dealing with fractions, positive and negative fractions. So first, before we even start anything, to add or subtract fractions, we need to have a common denominator. And so in this case, our common denominator for 8 and 7 is 56. So I'm going to rewrite both of these fractions with a 56 as their denominator. So I got to multiply this first one by 7 and this second one by 8 on the top and the bottom. Thus, we get a -7 over 56 minus 16 over 56. As we recall, in order to add or subtract, whenever we're adding or subtracting, we can always use the technique or the tool of the scoreboard. So in order to use the scoreboard, first we got to identify what goes where. So here we have a negative or a 756, and it's a minus sign in front, so the 7 over 56 goes over here, And the 16 over 56 also has a negative number in front of it, so the 16 over 56 goes on the negative side as well. So what does that mean? That means we add these numbers together. So we're just going to go ahead and add this together. 16 and 7 is 23 over 56. And the answer obviously should be negative because there are no numbers in the positive. So the result is going to be a positive or a negative 23 over 56. And that is our final answer since it does not simplify. Here we have an absolute value expression. Here we want to know what's the absolute value of 18 minus 6. So first, we always work within the absolute value, almost like they're parentheses. It's grouping this together. So we work this out first. So 18 minus 6 is just 12. So we have the 12 inside the absolute value bar. The absolute value bar is asking how far away is 12 from 0 on a number line. And it's 12 units. So our answer is simply 12. Okay, number 5 looks like this. We have a negative 6.5 and in parentheses a negative 4.9. This is actually multiplication, not addition or subtraction, because these are not being separated by an addition or subtraction sign, even though we have these parentheses here. This actually means multiplication. So we would actually set this up like so in a vertical format. So we would just multiply like normal. Okay, thus getting 5, 8, 1, 3, and the decimal point goes 2 places from the right, so it's right here in between the 1 and the 8, and a negative times a negative is positive, so this is our final answer, positive 31.85. Okay, number 6 has a negative 2 times, again this is a multiplication type problem because of the parentheses, a negative 2 to the 5th power. All this means is that we're multiplying negative 2 a whole bunch of times. In reality, 6 times. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply a pair of 2's at the same time. So we're going to end up with 4 times 4 times 4, which is 16 times 4 times 4 if we do these together, and then lastly we get 64, and it is positive as you see right there. Okay, number 7 is very similar to 6 except for there are no parentheses. So what this really means is 5 is being raised to the 4th power without the negative. So again, let's go ahead and multiply. This is what it looks like. We multiply a pair of numbers at a time. So we get 25 times 25 times 5. And then we say 25 times 25 is 625. Oops, 625 times 5. And then we multiply 625 times 5. Alright, got a little overzealous there. So there's only 4 5s, so 625, and then we go ahead and bring down that negative, thus having negative 625. Okay, number 8 looks like this, and there's a couple ways we could approach this problem. I'm just going to take the direct approach, meaning since we have this fraction bar, it groups the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom, so I'm just going to go ahead and simplify the top. This is negative 9 times negative 8, which is a positive 72. So we get a positive 72 over a negative 72. And then this says to divide 72 by a negative 2, which is a negative 36. So that is our answer for that one. Okay, 9 and 10 are more open questions. Basically 9 is going to be a question about to show how well you understand exponents and the way they work. And number 10 will be a question about how well do you understand the different or it should say different sets of numbers. See, I can spell different sets of numbers. So go back through it and good luck.